Hello and welcome to another Feature Friday. Today I'm going to teach you how I make my pocket hugs. I'm starting here with a square that's 11.5 by 11.5. I do this because I want to know what my working area is. So I'm going to bring in a little rectangle and I'm going to round the corners. And now I'm just spacing them out so that they fit inside my little square here. And then I'm going to delete that square because it's no longer needed. Now we're going to bring in some text. I've had some pre-typed text that I'm going to paste in here for the Pocket Hugs description. We're going to now bring in our first image. With this little dragon, we're going to use the trace button. It's going to create an outline for us. We're going to set it aside, create a compound vector. As you can see, the eyes and nose are separate. We're going to shrink it up. We're going to make it the right size. And then what we're going to do is, I don't like the thickness of the lines, so we're going to do an offset. And I like to use 0.01 to 0.005, depending on what look the lines are to start with. As you can see here, it sometimes will mess up the compound vector, so you have to release it and then reselect create compound vector. Now I have the outline thickness that I really like. It's just easier for these small pieces. We're going to continue to do this for each image. On this image though, there's a few pieces that I just don't want because they're a little bit too detailed for this tiny of a piece, and I want to keep these very simple. So we're going to go through the same process. And then I'm going to edit some of the nodes here. I do this because I can see that the spaces are a little bit too narrow, and when working with these tiny pieces, you have to be cognizant of the fact that you are working with very small pieces. So you want your outlines to be thicker and you want your pieces to not be super detailed unless you're okay with spending quite a bit of time. One of the neat things about vectors is that you can go in and edit all of the individual pieces and manipulate the little vector points to where and which shape that you would like. With this platypus, we're going to do the same thing. It's got a few detail features that I don't like on the face for this project. Some of these pieces are the size of a grain of rice, so you do have to keep that in mind when you work with these tiny inlays. Theoretically, you could engrave this whole file and then hand paint it, but I choose to use the inlay method because I love the look of it and I just enjoy doing inlay pieces. A lot of people don't realize is that XCS is actually quite advanced now. They made a giant update last year which incorporated a lot of different features, so I don't even use Illustrator, barely use Photoshop. I primarily use XCS to do all of my editing. I've found the program encompasses many different features. When I did the koala, I was able to take the parts out of it that I didn't want by using the cutout portion. Now we're going to take all of these frame out layers and we're going to drop them into a new canvas. This is going to allow us to now create an offset of each individual item. This is going to act as your backer piece because you need to glue all the inlay pieces to something. Once we have all of our images, we're going to select them and bring them to a new canvas, and we're going to click on the Smart Nesting tool. For this, you have to ensure with acrylic that you're giving enough spacing between each image that it doesn't get too melted. I found that when you're working with acrylic, it melts a little bit quickly if you're using fine detailed images, so I always use 0.15 spacing. Now we're going to bring the outlines to another new canvas, and we're going to start splitting up the images into pieces. This is going to be a lot easier because you're going to be able to cut all of your turquoise pieces at once, all of your charcoal or whatever color that you're working with, but this is tedious. So you have to basically get rid of the parts that you don't want to cut for each color. As you can see here, I'm working on the body, and so I got rid of the horns and the heart, and so now I'm going back and I got to leave those pieces in order to cut them in different colors. Again, this part is tedious, but you don't want to cut the whole image in each color because you'd have a lot of wasted pieces. You basically are separating them to make it a lot easier in the end, but it is like a puzzle because you have to figure out which piece goes where, and you're not sure which heart belongs to which character, but it's a bit of fun in the end anyway. I get a lot of questions on how I color my pieces. I always use colored acrylic, so that's why separating it is so important. If you want to run this on wood and hand color each piece, you can do that as well as an option, and you would just use the first 3 canvases. You wouldn't need to worry about the individual pieces. This is just how I have found to edit the pieces. You can also release the compound vectors and do it that way. I just found that I have a little bit more control when I work with the vector nodes individually. Now we're going to just continue on splitting up the pieces. I will, in the end, bring the pocket hug backer piece to its own canvas. This is just going to allow you to be able to split everything up individually depending on how you would like to run them. I like to give everybody the opportunity to run them as they wish and give them more options than not. I hope this video helped you today and gets you a little bit more comfortable with XCS and what the capabilities of the program are, because you're able to do most things in it. If you liked the video, please give it a like and a subscribe for more. Thanks for watching!